This beat crazy.
And now, a three-time sports editor, former online and managing editor, and host of Talk That Talk, award-winning journalist Terrell Chatterbox Emerson.
Welcome to it. Welcome to it. It is little after 10 o'clock on a Thursday night, rather, so you guys know what time it is. It is time for Talk That Talk. I am your host, Terrell Chatterbox Emerson. Why does my mic sound so far? Probably because it is. Can you guys hear me better?
Yep.
Everybody good?
Mm-hmm.
Let's do another round of applause. Let's go and get the show started. Let's get the show started. This is episode 2 of season 7. We appreciate you guys. If you guys are watching via our YouTube, we appreciate you. If you would like to watch on our YouTube, all you have to do is go to YouTube, go to the search bar, type in Talk That Talk Radio Show, and it should pop right up. I don't know if you guys heard the behind the camera already, but it's our typical Thursday show. Markel Collins is in the building. Kel, what's good with you, brother?
Happy to be back in the studio. Happy New Year to all our Talk That Talk listeners.
Straight like that, man. Let's get to it, brother. I'm excited. I'm excited for today's episode. We got a lot to talk about. Some news that broke this morning. We have news to get to from Tuesday. We have game recaps to do. I have a couple of phone calls to make actually during this episode. So do I have a couple? I have at least one. So we'll go from there. But again, guys, we appreciate you for tuning in and being a part of this and what we do every week. Let me go ahead and get my keys in my pocket so you guys don't hear me jingling for 2 hours. But really quick, let's go ahead and get socials out the way. Let's get some of the quick announcements out the way. But if you guys would like to follow us on any of our social media, I'm talking Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Instagram, Spotify. It can all be found in that same search bar. Type in Talk That Talk Radio Show. It should pop right up. The one thing that would be different is our Twitter. Our Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. Once again, guys, our Twitter is at Talk That Talk LV. Aside from that, man, this show is shot from the Harry Reid Research and Technology Park here on Sunset, here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I'm ready to get to it, man. We got a lot to talk about. We have plenty to talk about, rather. I got my mom's tip in. I like this one a lot. Especially considering some of the stuff that's going on. This radio show, I'm gonna let you guys know now, is gonna have a podcast feel to it when it ends. Just be aware. I'm letting you guys know now. It will be a little bit of a podcast feel when we get ready to end this show. I can't wait to pod this weekend. There's a lot to get to, not just in the world of sports, but just in the world in general. But let's go ahead and get to my mom's tip in, and then we can get right to this sports talk. My mom's tip in today is common sense is not a gift. It's a punishment because you have to deal with everyone else who doesn't have it. I'll read it one more time. Common sense is not a gift. It's a punishment because you have to deal with everyone who doesn't have it. So shout out to my mom. I think it's a good start to things. Aside from that, brother, let's get to it, man. Let's get to it the only way we know how. I don't know why we just went to a full 3-screen on our YouTube, but we'll slowly get everything back acclimated and get you guys back fully on board with what we're running. But yeah, man, let's talk a little sports. We came in here on Monday. I sound nasally as hell all of a sudden. Did you hear that?
You good over there?
I feel fine.
I know it's cold and windy outside.
No, it is, and not to sound like that, but that's my type of weather. Like that's the weather that I like. So to hear myself get nasally for 2.5 seconds, that was weird. But we came in on Monday, and shout out to my guy Sean Zattel. Shout out to my guy Kevin Kelly as well. We'll get to Kevin as well in this episode a little later. But we had a conversation, right? about the fact that no news had broke to that point in terms of the Raiders. And we were trying to put the Raiders season in a nutshell, try to say where we were going with it. We had some opinions. Before we even get to what happened, let's go ahead and see if you can put the Raiders season in a nutshell.
I mean, we can't. I mean, I've come in here every week and just said top 5 pick in the draft. I mean, Cam or Shador, Travis Hunter. Who's it gonna be? And now they don't even have a top 3 pick. I don't believe.
But your Titans got the top one. And I text you immediately when games finalized on Sunday, and I said, "You guys are gonna find a way to still blow this, aren't you?"
You know, with friends like Terrell, who needs enemies, man?
This whole first hour, I'm on you, dog. We're talking college football playoff too, so yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, yeah, you know,
that is hilarious.
The Raiders. I mean, like, obviously, it's been a very, very rough season. But in terms of you know, I mean, the elephant in the room is you know, AP getting fired. I mean, that's
yeah, that happened on Tuesday. We I don't want to say I woke up to that news because I feel like I was up already, but I feel like I was early in my day and I got that news. And you're absolutely right. Antonio Pierce was relieved of his duties on Tuesday by Mark Davis and the Las Vegas Raiders after a season and a half as the lead man in Las Vegas. He was the interim for half of last season, obviously was the head coach this entire season. 4-13 in his one lone season as the Raider head coach. Yeah, and now you can just pick back up, obviously.
I mean, yeah, just having pretty essentially 2 backup quarterbacks as your starting quarterback. I mean, like, really, what are you supposed to do with that as a head coach? I mean, obviously, AP will never come out and say it or complain about it, which he didn't. I mean, you know, Terrell asked him a great question about.
Oh, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah,
we're gonna get to that.
Yeah, he asked him a great question and kind of, you know, said what he said, but
my phone up.
Yeah, gave a non-answer answer, but you know, so I mean, it's just yeah, like, I mean, with the roster he's been dealt with, I mean, if you look back at the Raiders for the past 5 seasons, you got to look at what Josh McDaniels had to deal with. He had a much better roster compared to what AP got to deal with. I mean, Josh McDaniels had Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs.
I forgot about Wall, and I gotta stop doing that.
Josh Jacobs, the Devontae Adams, Max Crosby. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, he had plenty of weapons to deal with. AP had to deal with Devontae Adams drama while he was on the way out the door, and then on top of that, a young rebuilding roster, and then he gets canned for it. So it's like, did he really ever have a chance? Was it really about him, or was it really more so about the team? And in this situation, I'm not gonna lie, you gotta look at the front office now. I mean, because this is a bad look for the Raiders, like, no doubt. I mean, if you're the next coach in line, like, you have to be scratching your head, like, is that a job I really want to take? Like, granted, you know, you got Tom Brady in the front office now, part owner of the team and all that, but it's just still, like, that's not a good look for the team whatsoever.
So I'm gonna be completely honest. I had a lot to say on Tuesday, and now that we're here, I guess it set in, right? And we'll get let's actually do this. Let's start with that question, and we can go from there. Let's start with my question to AP on Sunday following the Raiders season finale loss to the LA Chargers. Coach, Vinny kind of just talked about it right now, but rumors, trades, injuries At any point during your tenure, did you feel like you were working with a full deck?
I was working with 53 guys. That's all I can say. Whatever 53 guys I get, I work with them. It is what it is. Nobody feels sorry for the hand you dealt.
I don't know what you guys want me to say. I asked that question for a reason. Again, AP, and the funny thing is, a lot of players have mentioned it, right? AP being a former player helps in these situations. The attitude of AP in that press conference following a 4-13 season could have been completely different. Considering that, and this is what's interesting. I said it on Monday. I feel like I can't get to talk about AP until I talk about today's news by default, right? And it's a little unfair to Tom Telesco for a quick second, but Tom Telesco was relieved of his duties today as general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders after one season. After one season at the helm. So I said on Monday that Mark Davis was going to have to be the adult in the room whenever they had that end of season meeting, simply because I felt like there was going to be a lot of finger pointing. And while both guys, AP and Tom, may have sat up and expressed what they have done wrong during their tenure, I do believe there was going to be some finger pointing. And one of the things that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I said, if what I'm hearing is true, and if Antonio Pierce wanted to start the season with Aiden O'Connell, but was overruled, we should address that. I said that I felt like in that meeting, there was going to be a certain level of volatileness. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're going to make it one tonight. There was going to be a certain level of hostility in that room to where I was telling everybody, I still feel like everything hinges on that meeting. Whatever happens in that meeting determines what happens moving forward. I'm here on Thursday to say, if both guys are gone, it looks like Mark Davis had to be the adult in the room and say, we're just going to start from scratch again.
I mean, how many more times are you going to start from scratch?
That is a great question.
I mean, you said it all year. You said this is the rebuild right now during the season. And now it's looking like they're rebuilding the rebuild. I mean, like, you fire your GM and head coach after one season. So you're literally just starting all the way over after you already started all the way over. At this point, like, truthfully, like, for his sake, I want Max going. I mean, I know he wants to be a Raider. I know he's great for the organization. I mean, he embodies what the Raiders used to be years and years and years ago. For the past 20 years, what we're seeing right now, this has been the Raiders. This is what the Raiders are right now. So, I mean, going forward, I mean, they definitely, I mean, they are making changes, but it's like, once again, the same question we've been asking all year, like, what's the direction? Like, even with the team having a bad season, like with the season obviously going down the drain, we still didn't know what direction the team was going in. Even if it did look like they were, quote unquote, somewhat tanking, it's like, who are they tanking for and what are they tanking for?
And this is the reason why I said that they weren't tanking, right? I dare anybody to go tell Aiden O'Connell go lose some games. Hell no. I might be playing for my job. AP was absolutely coaching for his, right? Now, let's talk about Tom Telesco for a second. When I came in, you had already hired this head coach. It's number one, right? I didn't get to pick my guy. And I go out and based on what Kevin Kelly and Sean Zattel said on Monday, I go out and draft what they said as, quote, the next generational tight end. The reason why I'm still putting quotes on it is because Kyle Pitts had one of those rookie seasons, and I saw what y'all said about that man this year. So we just gonna leave it at that. But we saw what Brock did in his rookie season, right? Again, we've seen Tom's ability to build a roster, right? We've seen the addition of Christian Wilkinson, right? People talked about Josh Jacobs walking away. People talked about not being able to keep Devontae happy. By the way, I think that's an unfair label to put on Tom Telesco. Again, I had somebody ask me the other day, how was Devontae when he was here? And I said, I never spoke to Devontae one-on-one. But I don't feel like I can answer that question honestly without making him look away. So I always preface it with this. He felt like his energy to be around, and he struck me as somebody who got to a situation and shortly after arriving realized this is not what you promised me. So therefore, he never looked like he was happy here. Never is a strong word. He rarely looked like he was happy here. I can't say that I would have either. It's not what I signed up for. So I think that's an unfair stench to put on Tom, right? Tom got a raw end of this deal. So did AP. That leads me to believe that meeting was combustible.
To your point with Devontae, I mean, yeah, I don't think he was ever truly happy here. I mean, at the time when he did have Derek Carr, Darren Waller with all the pieces they had previously, I feel like at that time he never said anything because he was content with the team because he did have those pieces around him. I mean,
I think it's also really important to mention, sorry to cut you off, but I'm going to add to this point, hopefully, where he came from.
Yeah.
I think we didn't hear anything when he was with the New York Jets because he was like, well, I came from another 4-12 team, so whatever. Now we're 4-13 here as well, or 5-12, whatever the hell they were with the Jets. I think the Raiders and Raider Nation should realize where he came from in terms of Green Bay. So you're right. He wasn't saying much early. I mean, I've seen this before. We got to win in the playoffs. We got to get to the playoffs. We got to win in the playoffs. We got to do something there. He did a lot of winning in Green Bay already. So going back to your point, I hope that adds to it. There was a reason why, like you said in the beginning, the word was content. I'm not happy. I'm not like miserable. We're playing football and we still have a long way to go. And then we saw where the route took him.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You just said, Tom Telesco and AP, they got the raw end of the deal. It's kind of interesting because it makes me look at the team like Michigan football, right? Everybody left, when Jim Harbaugh left last year, and then this year the new coach, everybody's looking at him as like kind of like a bridge coach, and he might get canned right away. But he goes out, he beats Ohio State, beats Alabama in the bowl game, wins 8 games, performs better than they did. For AP, it seemed like he had to have that type of year to where he went, I don't know, 9-8, 8-9, like somewhere around 500 to maintain and save his job. Like, and because he didn't have the roster, he didn't have the pieces to necessarily go out there and even contend or hover around that type of mark. He got the short end of the stick. And I mean, yeah, with Tom Telesco, I mean, yeah, like with the whole Devontae Adams situation, I mean, that was going down before he even arrived. So it was like
so unfair. If I'm Tom, I'm like, don't mention Devontae when you mention me.
So I was like, what is he supposed to do with that? And then I mean, Josh Jacobs, same situation. I'm pretty sure he was already unhappy as well too. So
no, you didn't Josh tell us at the end of week 18 the year before that, I'm so sick of this shit.
He literally
Once I heard that, I was like, "Oh, he's out the door. He's out. He's gone. He's out of here."
he did say that in the locker room.
With all of us watching,
In the locker room,
we all heard it.
standing right in front of microphones, looked dead in the camera and said that. I mean, yeah. So I mean, like the dysfunction runs deep. Like I'm starting to hear people actually come for Mark Davis now. People are starting to ask.
Now,
Well, people have
the past 3 years have been really bad for Mark, and this is why. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for kind of segueing us into this next one, because I truthfully wish that I could publish what my text messages have looked like over the last week from my brother. The word you used was dysfunction, right? And I think that's a safe way to describe this Raider franchise, not organization. My brother said something that, to me, I guess he kind of posed the question, like, is Mark worse than Al? And I feel like that question is just weighted in general, because you can't just answer yes or no. Did Al win more? Yes. Right? If you're Mark, could you point to some mistakes? Yes. Do I think the NFL feels like Mark is a bigger pain in the ass than Al was? No. Like, so what are you asking? So I told my brother, I said, so in his defense, I said Mark has made mistakes. Yes. I said, now Rich Bisaccia was a mistake. I said that, right? The John Gruden thing, he had no choice. I'm gonna be completely honest. If that John Gruden thing panned out, we're not even here. We're not even talking about this. So the Josh McDaniels hire, bad hire. I even said it in terms of the AP hire. He was. I felt like Mark was playing with house money. He probably, and this is what owners probably feel too. I'm never playing with house money. Like, this is my money. Like, for this team, it's never the house's money. But I felt like Mark was playing with house money from the standpoint of Raider Nation, locker room. Y'all beat my door down about hiring this man. So I felt like regardless of the way this season went, Mark was either going to be a genius, or Mark could look at the rest of the foundation and be like, y'all said it. Y'all said bring this guy in. But it goes back to what you said before about the quarterback position, for instance, right? And I'm a firm believer, and I'm going to stand on it, and I've said it before. I do not believe that the Raiders had CJ Stroud. Maybe they could have. Maybe. But they weren't going to get Jaden Daniels, right? And AP was one of many coaches at the time, position coaches at the time. He was a linebacker coach, vouching for that. So I can understand a linebacker coach getting ignored when you're telling me to draft a quarterback. Dog, back up. I understand it, right? But we see how those two quarterbacks panned out. I'm going to continue to go to this. Jimmy Garoppolo, Brian Hoyer, Aiden O'Connell, with all due respect, who is probably the best out of these four that I'm getting ready to name, and Gardner Minshew. The only quarterback that fit, if that's what AP was asking for, the only quarterback that fits the mold of what he wants is Desmond Ridder. Do with that what you will.
And I mean, yeah, for Desmond Ridder, I mean, like, I feel like that's another guy that got the short end of the stick.
Hell yeah, if I'm Desmond, I'm pissed.
Like, I mean, coming from Atlanta, you know, the whole Atlanta situation didn't work out. They bring in Kirk Cousins, and, you know, they draft Michael Penix. All right, you know what? Off to Vegas.
Well, he was in Arizona before that.
He was.
And it's like, bro, no, he's not mad at the Raiders for giving him a shot, but you're mad at the situation of, I didn't even get to show myself. Every 2 of the times that I played 4 games for Vegas, I entered in the fourth quarter because of an injury. Fam.
Yeah, that's a tough situation to be in. So it's I'm really not sure what you do with it. Like just naming all those. I mean, I forgot about Jimmy G. I mean, that
I forgot about Brian Hoyer.
That
is atrocious.
Yeah, and it's just so crazy looking back on just like a lot of the hate Derek Carr got, and like just looking back, it's like they should have just stuck it out until they couldn't no more with that situation. Because I mean, like,
which probably would have been this season anyway.
exactly. So, I mean, you started the season off hot before you got injured. So, I mean,
Very true.
yeah. So, I mean, I feel like at this point he's got to look forward to the draft and just prayers up. I mean,
so tired of hearing that.
Prayers up, man. I mean, you got to look forward to free agency, I guess. I mean, if anybody does want to come out here, I mean, outside of it being Vegas, I mean, looking at the franchise itself, if I'm a free agent, especially a top tier free agent, I wouldn't want to come out here right now. Like, not right now. No.
Now, the reason why when you brought up that Mark Davis conversation, I thought it was interesting. I told my dad, and this is just me being completely honest, right? But actually, before I even get to that, in my conversations with Mark Davis, I've only spoken to a handful of owners, right? And team owners, and never spoke to Jerry Jones. And I say that to say, my dad laughs at the Raiders situation. He'll be like, that's a mini Jerry over there. And I tell my dad all the time, I've never met Jerry. Mark strikes me as completely different from Jerry. Maybe I shouldn't say completely, right? But he strikes me as different from Jerry. And the reason why I said that is because I said in the conversations that I've had with Mark, he strikes me as a guy who just wants to win. And my dad may be listening right now, and he may text me in a second. We're like, what? Jerry wants to win. I said just wants to win. Jerry also wants to do a weekly press conference like he's a damn coach. Jerry also wants to be in the limelight regardless of the way it makes his team feel. His quarterback has asked for him to stop. I don't feel like Mark does that. That said, I believe that Mark will back away and let somebody make those football decisions. Will Mark ever not be involved in football decisions? Probably not. Do I think he'll take heed to somebody's advice? Absolutely. Do I think Mark will ever sell the team? No. So, that said, enter Tom Brady. What I actually told my dad, I told him, I don't care who reports it. I don't care when it came out. If you guys want me to believe that Tom Brady reached out to Bill Belichick and asked him if he was interested in coaching the Raiders only after AP was let go, you're a fool. If you want me to believe it, you're a fool. If you personally believe it, you're a fool. I may be sitting up here wrong as all hell right now. I don't think I am. As a person, again, who now we can kind of add this to it, right? I have a decade in this game. The funny thing is, I can track it down. I haven't done too much AAU stuff. I can track it down to high school. You go to college, you go to the professional level, a lot of these things are consistent. The world operates the way the world operates. Sometimes, no pun intended, and this is not even to be funny, but where there's smoke, there's fire. There's literally, sometimes the writing is on the wall, and you can see it. Bill Belichick sat at home all last season. You want me to believe that while the Raiders were in the midst of that 10-game losing streak, I think possibly before that, but if the Raiders were in the middle of that 10-game losing streak, you want me to believe that Brady and Belichick didn't talk about it?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
If I'm AP, I'm pissed.
I mean, they definitely had a conversation.
That news broke Tuesday.
That's what
you fired me this morning.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, because you sitting there.
So you fired me and then called him, right?
You sitting there talking like you sitting there saying that I was like, I swear the report came out like next morning, like. So I'm like, yeah, obviously the conversation was already happening. I mean, the conversation about firing AP, I feel like this was happening weeks ago as well too. yeah, I mean, well, this definitely had to be a conversation previously. I mean, because Bill's already at North Carolina. I mean, he just got there, literally just got there. So I mean, obviously Tom had to talk to him. Uh, yeah, it's a sticky situation, but see, like just all these little things is like exactly what I'm saying. Like if you're a potential head coaching candidate, and you're looking at your options, you see the Raiders.
What are other options? The Jets are an option. The Dolphins are. I mean, not the Dolphins. Damn, I keep wanting to fire Mike McDaniel. I'm sorry. That's a joke, by the way. What are other options? The Jets are an option. The Bears are an option. The Jaguars are another option. Is that it? There's another one out there. I don't know what it is.
We did
Anywho.
not fire our head coach,
Is it-
but we fired our GM after 1 year.
You sound sad.
I-
I'm just saying the way you sound.
I'm still sick. We fired Mike Vrabel, so I mean, let's
Who's
not
gonna get hired this offseason?
let's not talk about Titans.
Number 1 overall pick. Yeah. If I'm the top pick, I'm telling you, if I'm Travis, I'm looking at that draft board like, whatever.
Cam Ward Shador, come on, please. Just I'm all for it, Travis, but I've seen what you guys have done with Chris Johnson. We've used him up, did nothing with him.
Sure enough, you did.
I see what you guys did with Derrick Henry. Used him up, did nothing with him. Thank God you guys traded him last offseason. He looks very happy in Baltimore with Lamar. Sometimes you gotta put these players before yourself. And yes, no, he did not deserve to be with Will Levis.
Oh my God.
Mayonnaise man. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. We're getting totally off
Never
track.
mind. Yeah, we are, because I'm gonna say a lot about that mayonnaise thing, but it's fine.
Okay, yeah. So Raiders going forward. I wish them all the best. Like I said previously, man, I do want to see Max in a better situation. I mean, obviously, he's real quiet. He got shut down towards the end of the season dealing with the ankle injury. But I mean,
Now, wait a minute, because Coach Prime, Deion Sanders came out and said, I guess he was asked about coaching in the NFL, and he said the only way that he would do it is if he gets to coach his boys.
uh-huh.
Now, I've said this before. I could see, and now, again, I could see Stephen Jones hopping in and being like, whoa, relax. But I could see Jerry Jones trying to move heaven and earth to make that happen. I could be wrong. However, if you're the Raiders, do you try to move heaven and earth to make that happen?
No. I mean, if you're gonna draft Shador, go ahead and draft Shador. If he's still available at that time.
Well, you would have to trade up if you want this to happen.
Exactly.
And you would have to probably bite early on Shiloh.
Yeah, because other teams might use that as leverage.
Hell yeah.
So I mean, yeah, if you're the Raiders, I say no. Dallas, still no. I mean, what did you just pay Dak for? I mean,
to be honest, if we're playing you know what, and this probably is the issue. Have you heard the way Jerry Jones has talked about Mike McCarthy recently?
I haven't.
The way that Jerry Jones talks about Mike McCarthy makes the way that I talk about Mike McCarthy sound a whole lot worse. Because Jerry's lying to himself. Jerry Jones, whenever asked about Mike McCarthy, oh no, Mike has done a great job. What? Respectfully, you know what else Mike McCarthy has been on my mind about recently? Watching Aaron Rodgers flame out this year. There's no way he should have one. And the thing that also gets me is let's just say Aaron retires. I ended up being right on that pod, on that radio show 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe now. where I said the worst part of this class of quarterbacks or whatever, the Eli's, the Big Bens, Peyton, Tom, Phillip Rivers, I already said Eli, right? Aaron, Drew Brees, all these different quarterbacks. The fact that Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers are two of the top three in terms of most talented in that group. Not only did they only win one, they only went to one. That is another indictment against Mike McCarthy. Now, when I hear Jerry say what he says about Mike McCarthy, let's ask Jerry the exact same question you asked me about Dak. Why do I feel like he would want more from Dak? Dak didn't play very much this year, right? When Dak did play his number one target, didn't seem like they was seeing eye to eye for a little bit. I could see Jerry being a lot more brutal in terms of his breakdown of Dak than he has been about Mike. There's a level of delusion in Dallas that is far worse than a lot of the other things that these teams are dealing with.
And I mean, that's just so ass backwards. I mean, Dak wasn't playing that terrible. I mean, was he having a great season? No. But was he playing absolutely terrible? No. I mean, I feel like it was more of an indictment of the team than it was of Dak. I mean, you look at how the team just pretty much flamed out after he got hurt. It's like,
that's a good point.
It's like, how much of a problem was that? Like, granted, would he have these situations where he just throw a bunch of picks that'll leave you scratching your head? Yeah, but he bounced back from it, and the team was still being game. So you're like, how much of a problem was Dak? And it's,
I almost thought about that. Did you hear about the Cooper Rush situation?
No.
You know what? I don't own an NFL team, so maybe I'm just completely off, and I'll take that. Remember when Trey Lance threw 4 interceptions in the preseason against the Chargers, and after the game, everybody was like, I mean, got some decisions to make. Like, they brought up Trey, and he was like, he said Trey Lance will be on this team. I told my dad that was a dog whistle, in my humble opinion, to Dak. I see something here. If I'm Dak, we all just saw what the hell just happened. Okay, cool. All right, cool. Fine. All right. You got it, Jerry. Put him on the roster. Cooper Rush had in his contract a clause, an incentive, that if he played 55% of the snaps, or if he played 55% of, what was it? It was like something about like 55% of snaps or something like that, right? I think it was 55. That he would get another $500,000. The Cowboys started Trey Lance week 18. So Cooper Rush ends the season with 52% of the snaps taken. They asked Jerry after the game. Jerry the reporter's in the middle with a question. Let's say 80% through it. Jerry cuts him off and said, I didn't even see it. I didn't even hear about it until I read about it. Some people may feel like Jerry cut him off, and you're making a face right now that maybe you feel like Jerry's not telling the truth. You want to know the sad part? I think he is telling the truth. Jerry had no clue, which is why Jerry Jones needs to stop making football decisions. I don't think Mark is there, and I still think he's more willing to give up power.
I halfway believe that because I'm pretty sure Jerry did check out towards the end of this season. I mean, after what was that loss to Cincinnati, that Monday night game? Yeah, after that game, I feel like, pretty much most of the team checked out. I mean, we seen Michael Parsons running off the field. I mean, it's just, by the way, he's gone. He's gone. I think got like 1 year left on his rookie contract. Jerry, look, you got a chance to play with CD. You got a chance to play with Dak. Micah Parsons is leaving. I'm saying it now. We're going to circle back to this in a year.
My dad texted me already, but I was about to say he's going to text me.
We're going to circle back to this in a year. I think Micah Parsons is out of there. But yeah, I mean, going back to the original question, I mean, do I think he would move the earth to get Shador? Yeah. Yeah, it's
Stephen
just,
Jones would have to step in and pull a Johnny Manziel. Fam, we're not blowing this up right now for a maybe.
I mean,
I think if you're the Raiders, you're more inclined to do it because it's like, what the hell?
I mean,
But how many more what the hells can you have?
they already bottoming out right now, so it's like, all right, whatever. Like with Dallas, they're kind of where the Raiders were a few years ago. Like they got enough talent, but the results aren't there, so it's kind of like they can't really just say, all right, F it, let's just go crazy right now. Yeah, so yeah,
I like that analogy.
like the Raiders are.
Except, never mind. Whatever. I almost took a shot at Derek Carr, not even trying to. But I think their quarterback situation is like looking up a lot more than the Raiders situation was.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, once again, like I can't believe I'm defending Dak Prescott right now, but I mean, my God, I mean, like Cowboys fans, do you guys not remember Tony Romo?
Relax. I don't think Tony was a bad quarterback. You better relax. We're gonna disagree on this, and we should stop talking about the Cowboys because you're gonna make me defend the Cowboy.
All right, let's move on. You see where the Raiders take us?
Tony wasn't all right. Here we go. Tony. All right, never mind. I'm all right. I'm trying to stop myself because I know it's gonna sound crazy, but all right, whatever.
I got a family full of Cowboys friends. Like I had a choice. It was either follow my brother, be a Titans fan, or follow the rest of my family and be a Cowboys fan.
Or you can pick neither.
I was literally not a Cowboy.
You should have been a Jaguar or something. I don't know what the hell.
Vegas didn't have a team at the time either, so I mean,
I would have been a desert dog.
I didn't pick the Cowboys simply because I always thought Tony Romo was trash.
I'm not mad at that. I just think he gets a lot of flack for. Go look at some of them Tony Romo rosters. That's what I'm gonna say. And no shot at like. Never mind. I want to do it so bad, bro. How did Romo look with T.O.?
Look great.
Can you name the second best pass catcher that he's ever played with after T.O.?
Jason Witten. He's not even a Hall of Famer.
I say that to say number 3 is probably what? Dez Bryant, right? What are we talking about here? I think Romo is one of those quarterbacks that did more with less. And that's just me speaking as honestly as I can. Romo always had a dog in the backfield. And if I recall correctly, early Romo years, didn't he have Julius Jones before he went to Seattle?
Mm-hmm.
You had Marion Barber, God bless the dead. Who else? You had DeMarco Murray. Like, he always had a dog in the backfield is mainly what Romo had. Like, Romo made sugar out of some stuff before. So I just think Romo gets a bad rap. And the thing that I think adds to that, and people are like, oh, he's a bad quarterback. Romo in high pressure situations never rose to the occasion. That became the issue, right? Again, what I always track it back to is I did the heavy lift in the 17 weeks to get us here. So I understand that's the hardest position. That's the position that's going to touch the football the most. But it's just like, damn, how many times in the season do I got to bail us out? I watched Romo on a Monday night play against the Washington football team at the time. Well, at the time, y'all know what they were called. And I watched Romo go down. And he was getting trashed that night, right? He sacked left and right. Ended up getting hit one time. And I'm watching him on his back, like writhing in pain. And I'm like, he shook up. And my dad is looking at me like, this is not funny. And I'm like, I'm not saying it is. Look at the way he's writhing in pain. We got to address this after the game to find out that not only did Romo break a rib, but Romo punctured a lung. The Cowboys won that football game. None of y'all can tell me a negative thing about Tony Romo. I don't give a damn what y'all say. I don't care. Let's talk college football playoff really quick. and then we'll get out of this first hour. We are about 45 minutes into the Thursday episode of the Talk That Talk radio show. You can never depend on Penn State to do a damn thing right. That's it. Notre Dame ends up getting this win tonight, 27-24. Yes, my cousin is Tim Brown. Yes, I root against Notre Dame heavily, and I don't understand why anybody is shocked. I grew up a SC fan. Fight on. I will say it in front of him. I will purposely follow him in his own house and say it. I don't know what you guys want me to say. I never want Notre Dame to be successful. I don't. Sorry. Notre Dame football.
Texas beat Notre Dame last time we played them, and
You better get past Ohio State.
And I've never liked Notre Dame. I mean, I feel like they're
I think that's why they love themselves so much.
Exactly.
It's the Duke effect.
and they know everybody hates them. Like their fan base, like they're snarky with it. Like they like and granted, like they've had
wait. You know how mad you got to make a black man to say snarky? Like y'all pissed him off clearly. That's hilarious.
Like
y'all Rebel fans are a little snarky. I don't like that either.
Oh man, like just I mean, good God. I mean, I was watching that game on the clock. I mean, I'm like Penn State. Y'all got one job, bro. Y'all got one job. And Drew Aller, you just had to throw a pick at the end of the game. All year I've been now. Granted. Let me pump the brakes. Drew Aller made a significant jump from his sophomore year to junior year. I mean, he's throwing the ball immaculate. Like he looks like a total different player this year. I mean, like people even asking it, like, is he gonna go to the NFL draft? And he already said he's gonna come back, but now he's like, all right, I'm gonna just see after the season ends. After tonight, dude, yeah, come back to school, give it one more year. I mean,
Carson Beck is.
That's a whole. I'm not even gonna do that to Drew. I'm not even gonna put them in the same conversation. I'm not gonna do that to you, Drew. I'm not gonna. But it's just Penn State. I mean, I saw a stat that said their wide receivers literally didn't make a catch tonight.
Sounds about right. And you know what I was gonna say too, and I'm happy that you said that. When you talked about the interception, you said he did throw an interception, whatever. Obviously, his reaction. We saw the turnover happened with 33 seconds left.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that just goes to show what we said before. This college football playoff, this not this year, but the way that this is going to be moving forward. I guess in particular this year. To me, I was happiest at the end of that first quarter when it was 0-0. Or maybe 3-0. I think it was 0-0. My biggest takeaway from that was I like these high leverage football games where first mistake loses. And that's exactly what we saw tonight. I came away from the game feeling, I don't know how to feel about Drew, but like you said before, you talk about the receiving core. I didn't even know that's that. But you talk about the receiving core, even with that, we would be having this exact same conversation about Riley Leonard, given Notre Dame made the mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. If you only seen that game in the second half, you would have thought the whole game was a shootout. I mean, because like they just started hitting each other back and forth. I mean, I think Penn State ran the ball for like 3 touchdowns. I mean, I seen Love Notre Dame's running back. I mean, I seen him running a grown man touchdown, just willing people to the goal line. I mean, so it was a real old fashioned football game. I mean, especially with those two schools. Like,
as much as I'm hating, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't believe in Penn State all year to like even make it like this far to this point. I believe they can make the playoffs. Like, in terms of talent, I mean, like their defense, like absolutely, like their defense is amazing. Drew Aller, he's just too inconsistent for me, and I feel like he's just like not ready just yet. And but like I want to say Kayvon Allen, I believe that's the running back's name. I know his last name's Allen, but I mean, yeah, he's dominant. One of the best running backs in the country. So I mean, and with Notre Dame, I feel like Riley Leonard was the serviceable quarterback they needed just to get by. I mean, Notre Dame, like you look at any good Notre Dame team. I mean, even when they made it to the national championship the last time against Alabama, Everett Golson, he was a serviceable dual threat type of quarterback. But really, they relied on Manti Te'o and that defense and running the football. So I mean,
they were saying if Bama scored 20, game was over.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, you look at this Notre Dame team. Like obviously, everybody wants to point to that NIU loss early in the season, but
that was an ugly loss.
So,
that was a hideous loss.
Definitely was. But
show them that film right now. Might be some guys in that room that puke.
Looks like a totally different team. This looks like a.
Say it. Say it. It looks like the damn national champion. I seen it tonight and was very upset. I seen it and was like, you know what? Damn it.
I'm not gonna say that yet because Ohio State and Texas.
Yes.
Ohio State and Texas still gotta play.
I just feel like the way that this year is going. I'm gonna let you guys know right now too.
I should be wearing red right now. Here we go. Just
there you go. Just so y'all can see it.
Yeah,
by the way, I just want you to know that you had the horns down. I just want you to know. I swear, I just want you to know. I'm not trying to make no issue out of the situation. I just want you to know. I didn't do it. If Notre Dame wins it all, I might have to go put a little money on the Chargers. If Notre Dame wins it all, this is the year of the underdog. I'm claiming it all. I got the Knicks to win it all. I got the Chargers. If Notre Dame does this, I got the Angels to win it all this year. Relax. I'm just letting you know something. If Notre Dame pulls this off, the year has been flipped on its ear already.
I'm gonna be sick. You're
gonna be even more sick if they got to play Ohio State.
I'm gonna be sick. Like I mean, say somehow we don't win tomorrow.
Guy said somehow.
Say somehow we don't win tomorrow. Even then, I'd still rather see Ohio State win than Notre Dame. Like that's like I'm never rooting against my own team, but that's how much I don't want to see Notre Dame. When having to see Michigan and Notre Dame win a national championship back-to-back years,
would be sick. I'd be more sick about the second one.
I feel like most of the country wouldn't be satisfied with that. Like when I had to think back who won the national championship, like this whole past college football all season, I had to keep thinking who won the national.
Say it,
Michigan. Ew.
I do have some questions. Well, a question for you. Pardon. Do you know or can you name? I think it's 4. I think these are the 4. I'm hoping I'm not leaving anybody out. Can you name the top 4 quarterbacks in Texas program history with the most career wins? I was in a bar on Wednesday and I seen a stat, and 4 had me like, okay, because Quinn Ewers tied for 4th. And then top 2, I was like, okay. But when I seen number 1, I was like, all the memories came back.
Colt McCoy, Vince Young, Quinn Ewers, Phil Simms.
So I'm gonna still give you a round of applause because you got 3 of the 4. He tied Sam Ehlinger. Sam Ehlinger and Quinn Ewers both have 27 victories. I think Vince had 28 or 30 or something like that. Colt McCoy has 45 collegiate victories. I seen that and thought back to like 4 or 5 Colt games. It was like, yeah, sounds about right. I was like, yeah, Colt was one of them. So again, like I said, Texas has kind of had some of those quarterbacks that make you look back to, again, going back to Sam Ehlinger, right? Or Ehlinger. Is it Ehlinger or Ehlinger?
Ehlinger.
Don't care. the way he's looked in the NFL so far. Don't care. You could mention that coach then all you want. When I see Sam Ehlinger, I think Longhorns. So it is what it is. Speaking of, they got two guys under center right now in Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning, who are the reasons why I feel like Texas will walk away with the national championship. I said it on Monday. I said it before. Going back to the Northern Illinois loss, we don't have to talk about Penn State anymore, but going back to the Northern Illinois loss, Notre Dame didn't look like itself, right? Ohio State didn't look like itself its first game against Oregon. I'm also going to add that Ohio State really didn't look like itself against Michigan, right? You being a Texas fan, there have been plenty of times this season that Texas hasn't looked like themselves.
Uh-huh.
More than half of those have still ended in W's.
Uh-huh. After our last game against Arizona State, like
that did it for me.
First thing Sark said was resilience. That's one thing this team has done all year. I mean, with Quinn going down early in the season, Arch stepping up. Granted, we played ULM and Mississippi State, didn't win the game in the SEC. But point still stands. I mean, the team rallied around him, and we still got the job done. I mean, Isaiah Bond coming in and out of the lineup with the ankle injury.
You talked about losing 2 running backs before the year started.
I mean, CJ Baxter. I mean, people thought he was going to be one of the best running backs in the country.
I sure did.
Tears his ACL right before the season starts. So, I mean, Quintavious Wiesner has definitely just been the breakout star for us this year. I mean, and you got breaking out Sonic, other running back, other running back right now, but I mean, Jadon Blue, he's been killing as well too, catching passes out of the backfield and everything. So, I mean, I think Ohio State, in terms of talented rosters, people would say they have the most talented roster in the country. In terms of talent, we'd probably be right behind them. That's not even me being a homer. In terms of talent, top to bottom, we'd be right there with them. Have we always shown it throughout the course of the season? No, absolutely not. But is it still there? Do we know how to win games when we're up and down, as we just shown last week? Absolutely. But the one thing, I see a lot of people just picking Ohio State flat out because they're absolutely hot. They just stomped on Tennessee and Oregon. So, I mean, they deserve all the credit. But Ohio State can show weakness when they get punched in the mouth. They showed it with Oregon the first time around. Granted, I think they played more physical than Oregon the first game, but they still lost that game. And Michigan just flat out punched them in the mouth, and they didn't respond to it.
Never recovered.
They didn't respond to it. So for Texas, I feel like we kind of got to survive that first quarter punch. If we survive that first quarter punch tomorrow, I feel like the rest of the game is pretty much on us and Quinn. It's on Quinn and our running backs and our defense. I'm not really worried about them. Granted, we've been shaky the past couple weeks, but they've been carrying us all season. So I feel like they can maintain for the most part. I mean, Jeremiah Smith, I
was going to say big plays. If they are able to hit over under on big plays, I'm at 1.5. If they get 2, I don't know. I don't know. It depends on how early they get them. If they come out and they get those early punches, let's say it's a 1-2 in that first quarter. I don't know, man. Because if they start going slow and methodical throughout the rest of the game, it's almost what Boise did to UNLV.
Mm-hmm.
Hit us in the mouth early, and on the back end, was that a 9-minute drive? Wait. Was that a 7-minute drive? I don't know if you want Ohio State to kind of get that early 14-0 lead, 14-3 lead, and then allow Will Howard to kind of start using his legs a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Jeremiah Smith, he gonna make plays. I mean, that's a first round pick. He's only a freshman. That's a first round draft pick. He could literally leave and come out for the draft right now if he was eligible. He could literally do it right now. So I mean, that's the best wide receiver in the country. Him and Ryan Williams, take your pick. So, but outside of that, I mean, Will Howard has never beat Texas. Seen him at Kansas State. I mean, he's had moments. He had that moment against Oregon. Granted, he responded to it the second time around. Same, but with Michigan, like I said, yeah, we survived that first quarter punch from Ohio State, and then we just make it a game from there. I feel like we can do it. I mean, granted, just let me be the one to give Quint Ewers credit because I'm super tough on him. Like, let me be the one to give him credit for a moment.
See, look, you don't even want to do it now.
He won. Hurts. No. He won that game for us last week.
He damn sure did.
Threw for over 300 yards on 4th and 13. Threw a touchdown to Matthew Golden.
Cam was trying to put his foot on your neck.
Oh my God.
He was trying to put y'all away.
Hey, Cam Scatterboo. Hey, blessings, brother.
Another person, I watched that game and I was like, shout out to the post-game presser with him getting the MVP because, again, I'm like, fam, hey, man, what didn't he do in that game?
Threw for one, ran for one. I mean, yeah. So, did his thing. But Quint Ewers, like credit to him. Right now, Quint Ewers is in a position to where he could come back next year into the transfer portal because, like, granted, as well as Quint is playing, I feel like his time is up at Texas, regardless. Whether
it does look like that.
Whether he goes to the NFL or he comes back into the transfer portal and goes somewhere else his last year. But right now, I'm pretty sure he's leaning more so towards the draft. But right now, if he wins this game tomorrow, first two quarterbacks, Cam and Shedeur. Number 3 is not locked up just yet. Quinn Ewers, you win tomorrow. Not only are you the third quarterback taken, you're a first-round draft pick, if not early second-round draft pick. And granted, there was a point in time in the season where people were like, he might be third, fourth round, comparing him to Carson Beck, but people are starting to realize he's not that. He was the number 1 player in the country coming out of high school for a reason. And I think he's finally starting to live up to that expectation. I feel like he's had the pressure on him to be the next guy at Texas. And I mean, you just said he's right behind Colt McCoy and Vince Young and Sam Elliott. Like, he's up there with the all-time Texas greats. And I feel like that whole narrative about him can shift tomorrow if he wins that, especially if he goes on to win the whole thing. Only him and Vince have done it in this modern era at that point. So, yeah, he wins the national championship. Quite honestly, yeah, I feel like he's a lot to go first round after that, but it's gonna be a great game tomorrow. Absolutely. I just don't think we're gonna get stomped on the way everybody's saying. I just feel like that's just so disrespectful. I'm just like, damn, man, like I know we slipped up a couple times. Like, all right, Georgia.
I know we slipped before.
All right, Georgia got us. All right, like Georgia got our number this year, okay, but they couldn't beat Penn State. So, you know.
I just got a text message right now from, I got a picture of somebody watching this live on their TV in their room. I'm probably going to be smiling from ear to ear for the rest of this show. So I appreciate them. Round of applause. I appreciate you. You're the greatest. Yeah, man, I'm about to be smiling from ear to ear the rest of this show. Like, cause I saw the picture and when she sent it, I looked and was like, fam, that's me. Like, you were in the middle of talking. I was like, this camera close as hell. But yeah, man, I kind of agree with everything that you just said. I think tomorrow, I hate to say it, but I think tomorrow we get the second best game in terms of our college football Final Four. I think it's going to be very, very hard to top what we saw tonight, right? But let's talk a little bit of UNLV basketball. We have the women to talk about, the men to talk about. And then we got some Vegas Golden Knights. We'll end with some NBA action. But let's go ahead and do it. Let's get right to it. The UNLV women's team has moved into first place in the Mountain West. Let's give them a round of applause. A 70-61 victory yesterday over Colorado State. Shout out to Kevin Kelly of the Sporting Tribune, who went ahead and picked that story up for us. We appreciate him so much. But yeah, man, Aaliyah Alexander, former Eastern Washington product, had her first Mountain West moment, right? And I say that because she had her first Mountain West moment. She had a 7-0 run by herself to kind of extend that lead for UNLV. I've talked about it before, right? In terms of Lindy's ability and her coaching staff's ability to reinvent the wheel, right? And then you look at an addition like an Aaliyah Alexander, who they just went and plucked off of a different team. How well have you? I know you've kind of been all off and on in terms of watching this group, but how well do you believe that she fits into kind of what Lindy is building here with this program?
I mean, that's kind of like she kind of fits the mold of team first, but I can kind of stand out. And I feel like with what Lindy's built, it's kind of been like team first. Everybody gets theirs, but there's always going to be that one person that stands out. We've seen it for years with Essence, and now I feel like it's kind of been we're kind of been in that transitional period to where people are kind of being passed around. So I feel like she kind of has a torch in her hands right now.
And the funny thing is, and matter of fact, I'm gonna pull up the box score really quick as I go ahead and break this down. But it's not just her, right? And that's something that you kind of just mentioned a second ago as well. Kiera Jackson obviously had a big night. And the interesting thing is Lindy always talks about where the energy comes from in terms of who you're rallying behind. And I thought it was so interesting because Justice's senior year, along with Essence's senior year, that was a driving factor, right? Knowing that Desi is one of the greatest players that, again, everybody keeps saying at this program is seeing Desi is one of the best athletes that this campus saw, period. So just from that perspective, that was something to rally behind, right? Kiera doesn't talk much. So Lindy's driving force has been, this one is going to lead by example. Like, she's going to go out there and literally, she talked about it the last game that I covered. She said KJ willed us to a win. No other way to put it. Don't know if we would have got it, but she made sure that we got it. And that's kind of what it was, right? So I want to fast forward really quick just to the box score like I said I would do. 21 points for Aaliyah Alexander on 7 of 13 shooting. Kiera Jackson followed that up with 19 points with three 3-pointers and 4 assists on the night. So 40 combined points from your starting backcourt. And I didn't even mention Amarachi Gibson, who only gave you 9, but she did so with the team high 5 assists. So you talk about those interchangeable pieces. You have Aaliyah, who leads the team in scoring. As I mentioned before, she has her first Mountain West moment, in my humble opinion. But Emma Ronsick, who is the Mountain West leading scorer, I guess you could say limited, right? She was limited to 15 points. She did so on a very efficient 50% shooting from the field. This Lindy group, like we continue to talk about, I think as long we've seen it with McKenna Hofschild, right? We've seen it with Abby Muse. We've seen it with where else can I go? With Elodie Lalott. I'm not gonna lie, the Duff twins at New Mexico, they gave this defense fits. But aside from that, every other situation I've mentioned for the most part is one person to worry about. One person to worry about, maybe two. If this team has to worry about primarily one person on the other end, I think we may be looking at a 4th straight Mountain West championship.
I think so too, because one thing is consistent with all of these teams. They're all based off of defense, and it's more of a collective effort on the offensive end. Granted, we talked about shooting previously. I mean, I feel like the team's maintaining. I mean, outside of non-conference play, I feel like that was a total different situation compared to what they're going to deal with in the Mountain West. So I feel like it should be more smooth sailing in the Mountain West as they kind of figure out who's going to be the quote-unquote top player. But at the same,
in the Mountain West or for UNLV?
For UNLV.
I don't think they have to figure that out.
And that's exactly where I was about to go. I don't think they necessarily have to figure that out because they can just pick and choose each and every night. It's kind of like Gonzaga's men's basketball team in the WCC. You know, you see him in non-conference play, like, all right, nah, that's the guy. They get to the WCC, it's like
Everybody's the guy.
all right, who's hot tonight? Okay.
They put him on you. All right, you got it.
He just hit like 3. All right, you know what? Go ahead, score 30 tonight. And I think that's what it's going to be for UNLV this year. So I'm with you. I do see a 4th straight Mountain West championship coming.
We'll see. We have some time to figure it out. I think Lindy and company are in the midst of building something that can stand the test of time. And Lindy talked about wanting this program to be seen in a different light. And I think the more that they win, the more that this is going to happen. As of right now, they're 12-4 on the year. They are 4-0 in the Mountain West. That, again, they're currently first in the Mountain West. Technically speaking, they're tied for first in the Mountain West with the New Mexico Lobos. And ironically enough, UNLV is headed to the pit next. UNLV will take on the Lobos from the pit on Sunday, 1 p.m. start time. Second straight game where first place is on the line. So we followed that conversation with a conversation about your running Rebels. Now, I've had this same outlook on this group all year long. And this is not to sound away, but it's going to sound what it sounds like. It's going to sound like what it sounds like. I've even said it in their wins. I'm not sure if I'm watching a good team. And I've said that all season long. And I said it's just a feeling that I get. I've been around this game for a long time. And have I been wrong going into a season? Absolutely. I was wrong about UNLV this year. So UNLV football this year. So I can be wrong. I'm not saying that I can't be. From early in the year, from us essentially being able to handpick the wins, handpick the losses, I'm not sure if we've been able to identify that this was a good team. UNLV starts 3-0 in the Mountain West. I said UNLV made that Fresno State game a little more difficult than it had to be. They made that San Jose State game a little more difficult than it had to be. The most impressive win probably in that bunch would be the Air Force win. And you had 17 turnovers in that one. So from that perspective, even with this 3-0 start, I've maintained the fact that I'm not sure if I'm looking at a good team. Fast forward to what some may believe and some may argue is their first true conference test on the road at Boise, a place that you won last year by 4. I've told people this more than anything. In college basketball, very rarely are you going to get teams that go undefeated, right? That said, it's not just who you lose to. Oftentimes, it's how you lose. This UNLV team did not look like a 3-0 team during this 81-59 loss to Boise State, where the same two issues that we've talked about all season long leading up to this point are essentially the reason why this team lost this game. We said that this team couldn't rebound in the non-conference. We said that I just talked about Air Force. We said that as long as this team is turning the ball over and you have games like Fresno State where they're taking 15 more shots than you, you're going to run into issues, bigger issues in games against teams like Boise, San Diego State. I told you guys about Utah State all season long. These are the games where, like I said before, UNLV may not just lose, it may get ugly.
I mean, they gave up 43 points in the first half and almost gave up 40 in the second half.
And to show you how wicked the Mountain West is, I don't know if San Diego State needs to score 43 to beat UNLV. With the way, first of all, really quick, I was watching UNLV. Lies. I was watching San Diego State against Air Force. I'm over here getting excited because I'm like, maybe the Mountain West is about to be a buzzsaw. It's 20-20, right? I'm in the bar, super slow in the bar. I go to the kitchen for something. I come back out. It's 47-24. I looked up and said, is that a 27-4 run? As long as San Diego State's defense is like that, this team may turn the ball over 20 times.
I mean, you're not getting away with that against San Diego State. I mean, we just talk about Lindy teams being about defense. San Diego State teams are about defense. I mean, that's going back to the Steve Fisher days. I mean, that's just what they do. So I mean, yeah, UNLV. I mean, yeah, I'm not really sure. You know, I feel like I'm not sure what I'm seeing offensively sometimes. Collectively, I mean, the rotation is probably like about 8 deep right now. So I mean, that's concerning as we get deeper into conference play. Uh, yeah, it's like, who's the guy right now? And I know for a lot of people that might be shocking to hear, like, it's, well, obviously it's Deion, but how much pressure can you put on him? He gets so much attention to where he's been struggling shooting the ball. So it's like, who do you look to next? Is it Barry? Is it Henley? I'm not sure who it is. That's why I'm asking, because when Deion has to pass out of these double teams, getting face guarded almost the entire game while still trying to run the offense and get his own, I mean, what do you do? Where are you going? And in terms of Barry Cherry, I mean, we've been talking about it all season. I still feel like he's not getting enough shots.
There's something happening there. And I don't mean like salacious, like, oh, maybe he's not getting along with the coaches. No, I think I'm trying not to sound disrespectful. I feel like, for whatever it's worth, because UNLV hasn't had a dominant presence in the paint since maybe Brandon McCoy, right? And Brandon needed a ball handler. Like, guaranteed. So Bear is kind of the same way. Needs a ball handler, right? Has better feet in the post, has better post moves. But I think we saw the end of the year from Bear. With all respect, I think Boise, I think San Diego State, I think San Jose State, or whoever. I think a lot of these other teams looked at him and said, okay. And I think it means a lot because we talked about it all season long. With all due respect to Rob Whaley, who obviously that back injury is probably going to keep him out the year, right? He's probably going to get a medical red shirt. Kevin Kelly even said it on Monday. Who could blame him for it at this point? But Rob is undersized. So with all due respect to the situation, I don't know how much Rob being on the floor is going to help either.
It's just weird because you look at this roster, you look at the roster, you look at the talent, and you look at the size of the roster. You look like, it seems like they have a good ratio of guards to wings to bigs and everything, and in terms of talent level as well too. But in terms of production on the court, it's still just something missing. You're not and you're not sure exactly what it is or what to point to. Like, obviously those offensive droughts like are definitely killing them. Like when when they go into these like just defensive collapses, and it just seems like the well is run dry, and then eventually they kind of pull it back, and it's like, oh, okay. I know we talked about the off air before, but like towards the end of the first half, like the team seems to fall apart. Like, let teams go on these runs, and then they kind of try and pull it back, and then they're playing from behind going into the second half. and definitely going into Mountain West playing against the better teams, like as we just seen against Boise State or playing against San Diego State or these top end teams, you're not going to be able to get away with that, especially because you're playing these teams twice. You're playing a true round robin. They know your stuff. They know what you're running. They're familiar with you guys. The scouting is more pristine. You gotta, yeah.
Remember how I asked Kevin Kruger about not having that signature non-conference win? And while I know the outlook on conference play is to win every game, but I asked if the message was different, understanding that like you said, that one-off against Air Force, or maybe that splitting the season series with a Fresno State can't happen now. And he kind of addressed it, and he was like, well, I feel like we played a lot of great teams, whatever, which didn't address the question at the time, but the back end of his answer obviously did. Regardless of what the answer is, we're here now. And I got to be honest, now that we got I was worried, right? I was skeptical going into this conference season, given that we have what this team looks like against top end talent in the conference. I think this team has trouble with San Diego State, Utah State, Wyoming possibly, and Colorado State. I don't know that Fresno State doesn't get the next one. I said that after they played the first time. And they played in Fresno. Did they? Think I'm wrong. I am wrong. They played here in Vegas. You have to go to Fresno now. I'm not confident UNLV is going to get that game. Matter of fact, let me see. Do I have it up? Let's see if I can pull this up really quick. And then I can make this phone call. So the Rebels, as of right now, they're in 6th place in the Mountain West. They're at Colorado State next. That game is scheduled for Saturday, the 11th at 1 p.m. The winner will take over sole possession of 5th place. UNLV had Boise State on Tuesday. They have Colorado State on Saturday. They have Utah State, number 25, Utah State, at home on Wednesday. And then they have San Diego State on the road. It is very possible that UNLV can lose 4 straight conference games after starting the season 3-0.
Utah State got some dogs this year.
Y'all gonna learn to listen to me. I keep telling you about Utah State.
They got some dogs this year. And I can't, I don't even want to point to one guy. Like, whenever I see them, you just look at the ticket and you're like, they won again.
They keep winning.
Won again. See a quick highlight on SportsCenter. Hey, Utah State's kind of good, huh? They better than San Diego State this year? What's going on in Utah? Yeah, man. I mean, that Fresno State game, they fought to get that first one. So, I mean, going to Fresno, I mean, that's never an easy game for anybody. So, I mean, yeah, man, it's definitely gonna be tough sledding in the conference this year, especially with those top end teams. I feel like they're gonna win the games they're supposed to win because technically they've already run a game that people didn't think they were gonna win against Fresno. So, I mean, playing against Boise State though, that was a tough loss. I feel like they could bounce back against Colorado State, but once again, I mean that's a tough game, and that's on the road too. So, yeah, man. I mean, right now I feel like they just kind of like you said, we're here now. They got to work through it right now. They got to work through it and make it happen on the fly. So,
make it happen on the fly is interesting. Only because they don't have any other choice, right? So as I mentioned before, UNLV is getting ready. Both UNLV teams are getting ready to play in huge conference games. Again, the Lady Rebels will host, or I lied. Lady Rebels will head to the pit to take on the New Mexico Lobos Sunday, and then UNLV, the men's squad, has a date with Colorado State in Colorado rather, at Moby Arena on Saturday. The winner of that game takes over 5th place. We have 2 more topics to discuss. I just mentioned that we have the Vegas Golden Knights to discuss. With that, we will give a round of applause as we welcome in Isaiah Torres, who was at the T-Mobile Arena earlier tonight. Isaiah, what's going on, man?
Hey, man, what's going on? How you doing today?
I am good, brother. I'm not sure if you can hear us. Oh, my phone was down. There it is. So hopefully we can hear you a lot clearer now. But a lot of winning for the Knights as of late, right? And tonight was not that was not the case tonight in a 4-0 shutout loss to the New York Islanders. You were in the building for that game. Before we even get to specific questions, kind of what was your takeaway from that?
Yeah, I can hear you guys clearly. Are you able to hear me now?
I am. We are good to go.
Okay, sweet. Yeah. So like you mentioned, the Knights have been rolling, and I wish I could have said the same thing tonight. But tonight's game, my takeaway from it was what I got from it. They scored an early goal in the first period. They seem like they've been rolling, like they have been in recent games. Hurdle got the goal, and then they celebrated for about 10 seconds, and then the refs called it back. They called offsides, and Bruce Cassidy challenged it. And after video review, the call was still confirmed as offsides. And I feel like just the energy and the momentum just shifted in that moment. And the Knights weren't really able to get anything going after that. And like 4 minutes later, the Islanders scored a goal. I think it was one of those moments where you feel a shift in momentum and you catch your opposition when they're kind of slipping a little bit. Because that's kind of how it felt in the building. Islanders just scored a goal and you were kind of like, oh man, like we were up 1-0 just a minute ago, and now we're down. And I don't, for some reason, it just looked like the Knights just were knocked off their A game after that, and New York took advantage. And before you knew it, it was 4-0. So,
and the interesting thing
rough
is
night tonight.
And the interesting thing is, you kind of just talked about it, right? This group has an energy factor, and it's bigger than going up 1-0, and then we're back tied at 0 apiece. But now we're down. And again, you kind of talked about that momentum shift rather. And the one thing that I will go back to, and I know that we don't want to do it often, right? We talk about these sports in general, and you're not going to throw away this game film by any means. However, you don't expect to go into any 82-game season and win every single game.
Right.
Considering the defensive performance that was put on in that Buffalo game, I was watching this game, and by halfway through the second period, I said, oh, I know how this goes. What happens tonight is exactly what they did to Buffalo two or three nights before that. I said, okay, this is one of those games that, yeah, Vegas just doesn't have it.
Yeah, it just looked like I said, they had a plan. They were rolling like they have been. They came into the game on a 3-game winning streak.
Yeah.
And they kind of it's like the refs just took away the goal, and sometimes, the hockey is such fast pace. Mm-hmm. So before they could even fathom, like, oh man, they took away our goal, New York took advantage, punched them in the mouth, and it just looked like the Knights kind of were deflated after that. I know in a press conference, Bruce Cassidy said it shouldn't have been deflating. Like, I think he kind of denied that it was deflating for them, but
Bruce don't take no excuses.
No,
Bruce don't play.
He's a no excuse coach. So I mean, he's doing his job, totally saying the right things. But I feel like it's a body language thing that we could all read. I mean, in the locker room, it even went down on the ice. Going into the third period, because going to the third period, they were already down 3-0. Mm-hmm. And when they took the ice for the third, I don't know, I felt like the body language you just felt like the energy was kind of gone. Like and maybe sometimes you have a bad night. Like obviously you can't win them all, and they were rolling so much. 3-game winning streak, and honestly, I think they had about, I want to say, 6 wins in their past 8 games. Like they've been playing really good, consistently good.
I think they had
And
17-3-1 in their last like 20. It was wild.
yeah, they've been on a good run. And I guess sometimes you hit a wall, or you just have a bad day. And I personally, I'm gonna chalk it up to that. I wouldn't look too deep into them being shut out like this, but yeah, I mean, like I said, when they took the ice in the first period, they were on the aggressive. I mean, they were the more aggressive team. They had 30 shots on goal to New York's. Let's see, I don't want to get the number wrong. New York had 21.
Okay.
So
they were plus 9.
So the Knights were the more aggressive team, and they came out aggressive. But man, the game's all about momentum and whatnot, and they just couldn't recover. That's what it looked like to me, and I think everyone else in the building.
And you were just kind of talking about their win percentage, or the recent win percentage kind of coming in, but their recent win percentage had catapulted them to the top of the league. They entered with the best record in the league. They still leave with the best record in the league. 28-10-3 on the year. They just hit their 10th regulation loss, and we're already here in the new year. So that does say a lot about this team. They currently have 59 points on the year. Winnipeg is sitting right behind them, along with the Washington Capitals at 58. They are plus 6 in their division. Edmonton is still looking up. But obviously you follow that up with one New York team in terms of the Islanders, and then you bring in the Rangers to the Fortress on Saturday. And then keep in mind, that's the first of a back-to-back. Isaiah and I were talking about it in October, I think. I think this team has... I'm not even gonna lie. Isaiah's been covering the team, so I'm sure Isaiah remembers the number right offhand. If he does, he can let us know. But the amount of back-to-backs that this nice team has, I got to be honest with you, we can only worry about the schedule as it's presented to us. Coming off of this loss, going into a weekend weekend back-to-back against the New York Rangers, followed by what will probably be an emotional game in terms of Minnesota when Marc-Andre Fleury gets down here, whether he's in between the pipes or not.
Right.
I don't really know what this weekend looks like. You've been around the team. I don't think anybody else covering or in this company knows this nice team better than you. As of right now, what do you expect for this weekend?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, they haven't lost consecutive games in quite a while, and they've been like, if you were to look at the stats, if you weren't to watch the game, you just looked at the numbers, you would see that they totally got dominated. Because they had less, hits, block shots, faceoffs won. I mean, they were beat in every category, and obviously the scoreboard doesn't look pretty either, but. For the most part, I mean, they hung in there. They hung in there, and it was just. I feel like, honestly, I think it was just a one-off where they just got knocked off, their game plan, and they just couldn't find a way to get back into it. They were, like I said, they've been playing so good. I really don't think this is something worse than what it looks like. I could totally see them. Just hitting hard in practice tomorrow and making sure that they start off on the right note on Saturday against the Rangers. And I'm trying to look back to see the last time they lost consecutive games. And
I think I have the schedule up. Let me see if I can find it.
The last time.
Honestly, I don't know.
So it hasn't been since November.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I don't know if they've done it. Anytime recently. Been since
November that they lost consecutive games. So I mean, I totally see them, taking care of business tomorrow in practice, just saying, hey guys, like we led once, we got knocked off our game plan and we just had a bad game, and I think they take care of what they need to do. Saturday comes and they maybe play more focus against the Rangers. Now, as far as Sunday's game goes, it's always tough, those back-to-backs. That one, I don't want to say that I'm not confident in them, but, like every sport or, football, whether it's basketball or hockey, but those back-to-backs are rough to play. So, obviously, I think Sunday they might have a little bit of a tougher time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't read too much into this loss personally. I mean,
And
I believe that they're going to take care of business tomorrow in practice, and then probably play a lot more focused game on Saturday against the Rangers.
So you follow that up with the Rangers being a team that's currently 19-20-2 on the year. That's good for 40 points. And then just to kind of add to your point, Minnesota will be, as of right now, would walk into Sunday 26-12-4 on the year with 56 points. So they would only be 3 points, or currently the 3 points behind Vegas for the best record in the league. Before we let Isaiah get out of here, Markel, do you have anything for him?
Yeah. I mean, I was just gonna ask, like, would you kind of like chalk this loss tonight up more so as a scheduling loss? I mean, the team was just on a 5-game homestand. They go on the road to San Jose and come right back. So, would you say this game was just one of those scheduling losses?
It's I don't even know if I would even say that. I just think it was. I'm telling you, it was such a weird. It was such a momentum shift. It really was. I mean, they came in so aggressive. They scored a goal, and they're celebrating for a few seconds there, and for the refs to just call it offside. It was a delayed call as well. It wasn't like they blew the whistle dead, during the play or right after. It was a few seconds went by, and then they called it. So it was kind of strange. And then that's what led to Bruce challenging it. And after watching the video, they still called it offsides. And like I mentioned a few minutes ago, it's such a fast-paced game. Before they could really take time to process it, they had to start playing again. And from there, the Islanders just took over. And I don't know, it's like when if you watch a basketball game and I don't know where a team just goes off a 10-0 run, and the other team calls a timeout, and they kind of look around like, what the heck just happened? That's kind of what it felt like. I wouldn't even chalk it up to a scheduling loss. I just think it was a situation where they got their energy, momentum, juice, everything that they had got transferred over to the Islanders. I mean, that's what Bruce said. Bruce said that after that review and the offsides was held, he said it wasn't. He felt like more so they didn't get deflated, but the Islanders got more juice off that.
And the funny thing is too, if Bruce said it, then it's true. If Bruce said it, then it's law. Isaiah, I appreciate you, man, as always. Thank you again. And yeah, man, ladies and gentlemen, Isaiah Torres.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
As always, brother, I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Take care, you guys.
So again, round of applause for Isaiah Torres. The Knights, I mean, first of all, actually scratch all that, bump all that. I was going back and listening to an episode from a couple months ago, and I asked you, have you ever been to a game? And you say, yeah, I went initially that first season. And I didn't even remember it in the moment, but in the moment I said, we're going to change that this season. That has successfully been changed this season. We were talking about that Buffalo Sabres game. Markel was the one that actually did that story. So I think we've had like 4 different people do night stories this season. So round of applause for Markel, first time covering a Knights game. What was your experience like, man?
Nerve-wracking. I mean,
energy is crazy.
I mean, like, Tor, like you've been in the industry longer than I have. Like, it's certain moments where you step in to like these situations as a journalist, and you're kind of like a kid in a candy store, and you're kind of like it's kind of like being a freshman and walking into a varsity locker room,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm here now." And you kind of have that moment to where you're like, "Am I supposed to be here?
I belong. I belong.
Am I supposed to be here?" But then, like after a while, like you kind of settle in, and you just kind of start playing ball. You just kind of start playing ball. So I mean, like yeah, like when the first game I went to, the first season they were here, I mean, the arena was just rocking. It was amazing back then, but now it feels like there's more of a culture set. There's more of a culture set amongst the team, not just with the team, but with the fans and the fan base as well too. So, it was a great experience. Had a great time at the game. Uh, yeah, man, being in the press box, everything. I mean, it was just overall a great experience. Yeah,
The T-Mobile might be the one place that I don't mind watching from the top level.
there's not a bad seat in the arena.
I don't think there's one.
I learned that from like the first game I went to there, like years back. I was like, yeah, there's not a bad seat in this arena. I've been to other events there too, but I'm just like,
You ever been to the Orleans to cover a game?
I watched the game at the Orleans. Yeah,
I wish the Orleans would move their press level to the top floor. Like that's one of them buildings that you sit on the floor level and you got 2 rows of fans in front of you. You got coaches next to you. Get me the hell from down here. Like I need to be away from everything. The T-Mobile Arena, they definitely do it right. Shout out to India as well. Round of applause for the Knights. Let's talk basketball and let's go home. This is our typical Thursday show. So I've tried to implement our NBA talk on Thursdays. We don't do the NBA roundup anymore, mainly because I'll let you guys know. You guys know I'll give you guys a little bit of a glimpse in terms of our company planning. The reason why we stopped doing the NBA roundup is because well, it's not even really an A or a B. The main reason is because Vegas is going to get an NBA team. So the roundups were going to stop anyway at a certain point. I just kind of pulled the plug early. So that's really it. I've had some people ask about it. That's literally it. That's the only definition of why we stopped everything. Explanation rather of why we stopped everything. But I believe you guys may be reading about a Vegas NBA team very, very soon. So just hold off, guys. It will definitely happen in due time. But I got 3 topics like I typically do on our Mondays. I'm getting the third topic regardless. So you are more than welcome to take the third part if you want. But first one, I was in the bar when the battle of number ones happened in terms of Oklahoma City and Cleveland. So I'm going to let you address the game because all of my points have nothing to do with the game. You ready?
okay.
My takeaway after seeing Oklahoma City, a number 1 Oklahoma City team playing a number 1 Cleveland Cavalier team, only the third time in league history, I think it's the third time in league history, where 2 teams on a 10-game win streak or more squared off against each other. Again, guys, I work in a bar. I'm in the bar, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna hold you. I thought I had a college football playoff game, so I'm like, let's go. Like we in there lit. I walk in, and before I even walk in, I realized I don't have college football. So I said, okay, cool. At least I got this game, right? I got Maryland against USC. We gonna see what Juju can do against the top 10 team, whatever, right? When I tell you, if you guys are watching on YouTube, I took my locks down. Well, not my locks, but I took my braids down, right? So my locks, they doing what they doing. Real crinkly like, real go DJ Wayne like, right? I took these down before I left the bar. I cleaned everything early enough and was able to take down half of my head before I left the bar. Nobody gave a single damn about the top 2 teams in the league playing. That is the biggest indictment on the league and their ratings. Remember what I said earlier about New York winning it all? That would probably be the best thing for this team. or for this league. We saw the Celtics win it all last year, and we're talking about ratings this year. With all due respect to the Boston Celtics, I see why people always say, oh, the Lakers are the greatest franchise in league history because of moments like this. Accomplishment-wise, the Boston Celtics are the best team in history. Right? Most prestigious team, whatever you want to say. In terms of the modern era, it's not close in terms of the Lakers. That was my takeaway after Wednesday. I said, oh, this is a great game. Nobody cares. As long as Oklahoma City, Minnesota, Dallas, Indiana, with all due respect to my team, as long as those are the teams at the top of this pecking order, nobody's going to watch this.
The NBA is in a very, very strange place that they haven't been in a very long time. I mean, the Cavs are 32-4.
They've lost one game at home.
They are 32-4.
And nobody cares.
We ain't seen a start like this since the 73-9 Warriors. Nobody cares.
It's Cleveland.
This is a young, up-and-coming team, and no one cares. Shea is probably the MVP this year, if not number 2, behind Jokic. He scored like 32 points.
I'm tired of people not saying Giannis' name, but whatever. We'll get to that at a different topic. I'll do it next Thursday.
Okay. Yeah.
Y'all pissing me off.
I no disrespect to Giannis, but I mean, yeah, like the league's in such a strange place right now. Like to have like the tops, I didn't even realize. Like I knew Cleveland was at the top, but I didn't realize OKC was literally that close. And I'm somebody who watches the NBA.
You want to know what I didn't know? And I'm somebody who watches the NBA too. And we can get to the second topic. Go look at who's in second place in the West. Because I did it earlier this year, and I said that I was going to talk about the Portland Trail Blazers. And I said I'm going to wait because this other team is still ascending, and we'll address that later. But I said Chauncey Billups deserved a handcuff for what he was doing in Portland. I know we talked about it, and I know that there was rumors around the. Okay, I'll give you guys a little bit of clarity in terms of what happened in Boston. There was some severe if y'all make this podcast fodder, maybe the people in Boston make it a little harder for you to get some credentials. We did hear that. I told you guys, and I was very consistent during that entire time, you can't tell me that Ime Udoka doesn't know how to coach. As somebody who watches the NBA as well, I was stunned to see Houston sitting in the second spot of the West at 24-12. We're not talking about what Ime Udoka is doing enough. You may not like him personally all you want. That's a damn good coach, man.
I mean, I'm sure Terrell's been sitting here watching my face. I did not realize. I knew Houston was good this year, but I did not. I mean, Memphis, Denver, Dallas. I mean, yeah, that all makes sense. I didn't realize Houston was winning that. I mean, I've been hearing Alfred Sengun's name a lot. I've been hearing Thompson's name. I've been, Jalen Green, of course. I did not realize that they've won 25 games. I mean,
quietly,
like nobody. I mean, you're gonna hear about Ja Morant, Zach Edey, of course, Jokic and Michael Porter, and once again, and I feel like we just talked about that's the problem right there. It's these young and up and coming teams, and no one cares right now.
And if y'all want to watch some good basketball, go watch Houston. I know. You know what's interesting? When remember when Ime Udoka, James Harden said it, right? When they was talking about James Harden coming to Houston, and Ime was kind of like, I don't really have interest. And everybody was like, well, damn, how many different ways can you say that? But James came out recently and said that MA told him, we're not there yet. Go get a championship. Two things can be true. I believe MA knew that they weren't there yet. Go get a championship. I also don't need your ball dominant ass coming over here. Move. And when I say ball dominant, I'm not saying James is a ball hog, because I don't think anybody who knows basketball can call James Harden a ball hog. That's not what James does. Even when James was giving you 40, James had 12 assists. So that's not what James Harden is. However, you being here is going to stunt his growth. And then stunting his growth means that he doesn't play. And then him not playing means that he gets cut. No. And not enough coaches say no. Ime Udoka is coach of the year. I don't care what happens. If Houston hosts a first round playoff matchup, Ime Udoka is coach of the year. Sorry, Tibbs. Sorry, Mike Budenholzer. Sorry, JJ Redick. And I might have said that about JJ earlier, and it doesn't matter. If Houston finishes with a top 4 record in the West, Ime Udoka is coach of the year.
Before the season, we were talking about the Rockets as a team that could hover around 500, and thinking about potential trade pieces that they could possibly move, or talking about moving off of Fred VanVleet and his contract. They don't need to do a thing right now.
Don't move. Just don't move.
Now, free agency?
Move. Do all the movement you can.
Yeah. Yeah. It's 2026 offseason.
It's Houston.
Mm-hmm.
It's Houston. I'm making that move. I have another podcast joke right now, but I can't get it off. Anywho. Last topic. Obviously, they've talked about it in terms of the NFL postseason, in terms of the Rams and the Vikings. The Lakers and Hornets will be, or has been, postponed. Or was it canceled? I think it was postponed. The final topic of the NBA slate would be the LA Fires rather. Prayers going out to my city. I know people who have had family members lose homes. I'm gonna try not to branch off too much. I don't have a tip in from my dad tonight, so I could just literally go crazy for the next 7.5 if I wanted to. But California, and I've said it a while back. First of all, let me step away from all the conspiracy theories for 1 second. Could there be some truth to some of the theories that I've seen? 100%. I also know this as somebody who grew up in that environment, right? If I know that those areas with large, LA doesn't have the most, and I say LA, I didn't say California, but LA doesn't have the most forestry, right? You could say Southern California for a lot of that. But if I know that if I'm in one of those fields and I drop a cigarette, I made the joke earlier, if I'm in that field and I get bored enough to start rubbing 2 sticks together, as a kid who's grown up in that area and done some dumb stuff, never setting anything on fire because I understood how dry it was, is where I was going. I have always understood how quickly that dry ass area, how it spreads. I say all of that to say, and I'm trying my best not to just go off, but I say all of that to say, if I know that, And I don't claim to be the brilliant guy in terms of anything, agriculture, first of all, but especially in terms of politics. I know government officials know it. So I had a conversation this morning. Every 3 to 4, and again, we could talk about the water crisis and things of that nature, but you have water now, right? That you are supplying and trying to dump in these areas to subside the fire. Let's say we take half of the water that we're using in an emergency form right now, and every 3 months do exactly what we're doing now before it happens. And I understand it may not be perfect, and there may be some reasons why it can't be done. However, let's look at the back end. Is it better to spend the money in a crisis situation when shit's burning down in the process? That coastline drive, that before and after view of Malibu, I'm scared to go back home. Not from the standpoint of the fire, from the standpoint of I don't know what I'm going to recognize. So where I will go off a little bit, I remember when somebody gave me, I'm gonna have a little bit of fun with telling this because I never told anybody this. I remember when somebody hit my phone at like 2:30 in the morning and said Michael B. Jordan just got into an accident. I'm trying to figure out if he's cool, and they were like, "No, he walked away." Like, matter of fact, he tried to drive away. Wait a minute, what? And they described the situation. I said, nah. It's like 2:30 in the morning. I was going to tweet that Michael B. Jordan's getting into an accident. I didn't tweet it. I saw a tweet go out 10 minutes later. Michael B. Jordan just hit somebody's car and drove off, y'all. I hit the person that hit me and was like, I should have tweeted that. And the person laughed and was like, yeah, you probably should have. I've told you guys before that there have been times that I've been given information, and like I tell you guys, in terms of any reporter that tells you that they tell you everything that they know, one of two things is true. Either they're lying or they're not going to have that job for very long. I can't tell you guys everything that I know, everything that I hear. I say all of that to say people found out after the fact, because I told maybe people that are close to me, I told like 2 people when Janae was pregnant. And I'm talking about Janae Aiko. I told people when Janae was pregnant. I knew when they found out it was a boy. I knew when they named him Noah. I knew when she had him. Considering what Janae has been through, Janae and Sean, considering what they've been through, even when I got the information, I let them, and I asked, could I put it out? Everybody said, yeah. I second guessed it, and I said, I'm not doing that. After what they've been through already, the last thing I'm going to do is give y'all an alley-oop to even know what's going on in their personal life. So I fast forward to the end of this. I don't think it's a rant either. I think I'm doing good. But I fast forward to the end of this to say, I didn't know. Janae told y'all that she lost her house. Somebody hit me and was like, Janae arguing with people online. Why? Oh, well, she told everybody that she lost. She did what? First thing that went through my mind was, why did she tell him? And then I thought about the fact that she should be well within her right to choose to share that with y'all or to not. I'm here to let you guys know the way that you reacted to that news from Janae, from her mouth directly, is the reason why y'all ain't getting no information about her before from me. We are our own biggest enemy. one thing that she said, and I'll end it with this. She said, it's crazy that y'all think I got Paris Hilton money. Or the fact that y'all think that I got Paris Hilton money is crazy. I will ask you guys this, since you guys like to claim that you're very aware, right? And that you guys pay attention to things, right? In the last 12 to 14 months, tell me the last time you've seen Janae outside as much in the last 12 to 14 months. There was a reason for that. I believe part of her coming out and even expressing to the world that she lost her place was still her trying to cope with the fact that it's gone. She didn't have to tell y'all that that's the second house that she had burned down with everything in it. It happened to her in the second grade. So maybe I feel the way I feel because I know a little more behind the scenes, or I know a little more personal things in terms of that. But again, the way that y'all reacted to her giving that news is the reason why I refuse to give any out about her before today. I don't know about you guys,